Breaking news: former president of Nigeria, General Muhammadu Buhari, is dead. Former Nigerian president Muhammadu Buhari is dead. His death was announced on Sunday, 13th of July 2025 by his spokesman Garba Shehu. The family of the former president has announced the passing of the former president Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, in a clinic in London. May Allah accept him in Al-Jannatu Firdaus. Amen. On the Aisha Buhari emotional plea, my husband asked me to beg Nigerians for forgiveness before his death. In a deeply moving revelation, Aisha Buhari, wife of the late former president Muhammadu Buhari, has shared her husband's final wish, a public request for forgiveness from Nigerians. According to Aisha, Buhari repeatedly asked her to convey this message if he passed before her. He always reminded me he was only human, capable of both good and mistakes. Standing before the nation, Aisha tearfully appealed, I am here today begging all Nigerians to please forgive him before he is finally laid to rest. Her words have stirred emotions across the country, opening fresh conversation about Buhari's legacy and leadership. Ex-President Buhari's cause of popular activist and former presidential aspirant OMOYELE Sowore has revealed that former Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari died of blood cancer, that is leukemia. The entire country was thrown into mourning on Sunday after reports of Buhari's death in a London hospital was announced. Sowore wrote on the social media page, Buhari died of blood cancer, that is leukemia. However, President Bola Tinubu has instructed the Vice President Kashim Shettima alongside the Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila to head to London to accompany Buhari's corpse back to Nigeria for a state burial. We lied that rats invaded presidential villa in order to cover Buhari's illness, Garba Shehu says. The former special assistant on media and publicity to ex-president Muhammadu Buhari, Garba Shehu, has said the story that some rats invaded the presidential villa was an outright fabrication to distract Nigerians from president's health issues. In his book recently launched in Abuja, Shehu disclosed that he crafted the villa raft invasion story to divert public attention away from concerns about President Buhari's health and capacity to govern. Prior to Buhari's return to Nigeria on August 19, 2017, after nearly 3 months of medical treatment in the United Kingdom, the indigenous people of Biafra leader Nnamdi Kanu has alleged that Buhari has been replaced with a clone named Jibril from Sudan. Upon Buhari's return, some Nigerians began to question whether it was truly him or the so-called clone Jibril of Sudan, as Kanu claimed. The situation grew more suspicious when the presidency announced that Buhari would be working from home instead of his office at the State House, further fueling doubts about his health and leadership capacity. In chapter 10 of the book, Garba Shehu revealed that the situation became a serious concern for him after Buhari's social media aide Bashir Ahmad announced on Twitter, now X, that the former president had returned but would be working from home. Shehu narrated, "So in the few hours of the presidential return, I picked up a conversation in the office of the COS, where the chief, a few principal officers and the permanent secretary sat over lunch. A damage to a cable was noticed and it needed fixing. Someone speculated that rats may have caused that damage, given that the office was unused for a long time. When the surge in calls for explanation of why the president would be working from home, if truly he had recovered his health and fit for the office came, I said to the reporters that the office, which has been in disuse, needed renovation because rats may have eaten and damaged some cables." The ex-presidential spokesman in the book continued, with reporters wanting to know more. The number of calls increased, with some, including the BBC Hausa, interrogating me on the type of rats we had in the villa that could eat wire cables. To get them, that is journalists, off my back, I referred them to the strange rats that invaded the country in the 1980s during the Rise Amanda that came here came here abroad ships bringing the commotion from Southeast Asia. As was known of them in their destructiveness, those rats ate just anything anyone could imagine. Many critics disagreed with me, saying that we were covering up the president's ill health. Some people had a good laugh over the narratives, and an insignificant few believed me. At a later meeting, the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, and Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo asked me why I had told that line of story. I said to them that the choice I made was deliberate. I wanted the discussion to shift, to move to any other issue beside the president's health and his ability to continue in office as the leader of the country. In my view, that's been succeeded. Both of them disagreed, saying that this was well off the mark. IPOB demands probe into Buhari's death. Apologize. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has demanded a thorough probe into the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari. The group also demanded an apology for its detained leader Nnamdi Kanu, insisting that the activist's long-held notions that Buhari died 2017 has been confirmed by recent comments credited to the former president's spokesman Garba Shehu. Before he was arrested in 2021 and clamped into detention, Kanu had alleged that the real Buhari was dead and was replaced by an imposter from Sudan, an allegation the presidency had vehemently denied. Former president died on Sunday, July 13th in a London hospital following a prolonged illness. In a statement issued on Monday by its media and publicity secretary, Emma Powerful, the group said Kanu has been vindicated following alleged admissions by Shehu regarding Buhari's ill health and subsequent death. According to the IPOB spokesman, Shehu revelation validates Kanu's controversial prophecy dating back 8 years, and as such, he deserves an apology. The statement reads, recall that in 2017, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, long before he was kidnapped, tortured, and illegally renditioned, declared without equivocation that Muhammadu Buhari died in 2017 in a London hospital and that what was being paraded thereafter was an imposter. The statement said that was the reason why the then APC government, led by the late Abba Kari and Abubakar Malami, launched Operation Python Dance to kill Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He called the secrecy surrounding the dismiss of Buhari in 2017 a monumental fraud, a national masquerade, and was laughed at, vilified, mocked by rented saboteurs, and even called mad by supported intellectuals who could barely pass a simple facial recognition test. Now, precisely 2 years after the expiration of the second term of Buhari, as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu predicted, the truth has tumbled in wearing boots. Nigerians are only now being told that Buhari is dead. How convenient. Let us be clear, the world owes Mazi Nnamdi Kanu an apology, not just for doubting him, but for persecuting him for telling a truth their cowardice could not stomach. A truth so potent it terrified Aso Rock more than any armed rebellion ever could. We ask who signed billions in his name, who traveled abroad to negotiate arms deals and treaties, who contested in 2019, who was re-inaugurated in 2019 and moved around with a different year, structure and signature. Is Nigeria now ready to prosecute itself for the crime of mass deception? Nigerians were not only lied to, they were criminally defrauded by their own governments. Elections were conducted in the name of a man who, by their own admissions, was no longer alive. This is no longer a constitutional crisis, it is a national hoax of historic proportion. In saner climes, heads would roll. In Nigeria, it is business as usual. Garba Shehu has confessed. Where is the DSS? To those who mock Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, today is a good day to bow your heads in shame and seek forgiveness, not from us, but from the truth you tried so hard to bury. The oracle of the Most High God, whom you called a madman, has been vindicated by the very system that conspired to silence him. If you see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu stand up because you are in the presence of a man whose courage to speak the truth has now become divine revelation. Nigeria, the mask has finally slipped. What will you do now? On behalf of the management team of Avankola's production, I want to thank you for taking our time to watch to the very end. We hope to see you in subsequent edition. It is goodbye from us for now. Thanks at Avankola's production and Avankola movie. Copyright Avankola Services.